Good morning, LinkedIn friends, Value First Nation. Welcome to another episode of Value First AI Daily, your collaborative intelligence report. It is Thursday, February 5th, 2026. Gentlemen, I need some help grilling up some beef
Uh-oh.
today. And it is a callback to yesterday. Uh, but I think that the SaaS apocalypse and what we expect to happen and what we see happening is just as much an indictment of the managed services industry supporting SaaS as it is, the software itself. And let me share an example from yesterday. Um, Somebody was asking me about a scope of work for a HubSpot to Salesforce data migration, uh, where the cost is, I'm not going to give you the dollars yet. I'm just going to say 300 hours
Wow.
quoted.
Okay.
So just like what is happening for 300 hours to make this migration happen?
I mean, do they have half the planet in their database that they're moving somewhere? Like,
I can't imagine.
what the?
I imagine it's a lot of like checks and stuff like that. Like a lot of pre-flight and a lot of like, okay, we transferred this, and then let's check to make sure. Maybe.
Well,
Hopefully.
and where my brain goes to is like, is there also baked in there hours for learning because they're biting off something that they, and I don't know who we're talking about, by the way. Like, this is a totally blind thing that Chris is throwing us into, and me as a human, knowing there's humans on the other side of this story, I'm like trying to be very careful with the words I'm using. But like, sometimes you'll take a project and you're like, well, we'll build the plane while we're flying, or we'll learn it as we go. And like, so there might be some of those hours baked in there at 300 now. I don't know.
Yeah. So the project overview. We shall perform a one-time data only migration of specified records from customers' HubSpot production environment into customers' Salesforce environment. Services are strictly limited to technical data migration activities as defined. No business process redesign, workflow recreation, optimization, or advisory services are included. This includes contacts, deals, and tickets.
Can you read the very beginning of that again, please?
We shall perform a one-time data-only migration of specified records.
From where to where?
From customers' HubSpot production environment into customers' Salesforce environment.
So they're moving data from HubSpot to Salesforce, and it's only tickets, deals, and contacts. So it takes 300 hours to flip a native integration switch on. Oh, okay. Interesting.
So just to reconfirm, this does not include.
No, that's why I said flip a switch. I heard you the first time.
Right. Workflows, automation and custom code, integrations, ticket data constraints, data transformation rules, validation and reconciliation. Here are the phases: discovery and assessment, which, by the way, almost everything that comes into Profoundly right now is like, yeah, we don't want to do that part. Like, we don't have 3 months to to let everybody and their brother dive deep into the vibe is like, yeah, we've done that like 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And we've got to figure out a different way. And so like everybody, it's just this baggage is there. And what I see happening, and this is what AI was just like it or not, It's destroying this part of the process where the customer knows it needs to be done, knows they don't know how, and therefore very easy to make the business case that they don't have the bandwidth to do it. Like nobody has time. So the promise of somebody externally being able to do this, because the only reason you would allow, at least in my mind, that you would allow for that much time to be spent is if you didn't have to spend any time yourself. By the way, there's additional 40 hours spec for project management. And like the idea, at least in my experience, the idea that you cannot be involved in the process as much as you think you don't have to be, almost never is true.
Well, that equals failure typically.
Right. And it's just like, what questions can the client or customer ask? Because usually it's like, it's $80,000 total, by the way.
Wait, I'm sorry. What?
Yeah, $80,000 because it's like just this. This is why like billable out the whole industry is based on billable hours. It's like not even a question of because we've decided it's 300 hours, and this is our hourly rate. This is the black and white price.
See, I can't have this conversation right now and not think about the other side of failure inside of this conversation. And as a leader or leadership team of an organization, to not do due diligence and education around, in this case, in this particular case, unless there's something that I don't know about their Salesforce or about their HubSpot, the level in which they have, the integration doesn't work. Like, but if all is all in what it is in my brain at a flat level, the ability to not educate yourself to the actual ease of the thing that you think is a heavy lift that you don't want to do, forget bandwidth. Sometimes you just don't want to do it. Like, but when you educate yourself even lightly enough to be like, oh, this should actually only take 5 hours, 10 minutes. Oh, like this is something I could do and not spend $80,000. Oh my God. Oh,
And this is why yesterday when I say things like, if it takes fear to like snap them out of this, like, because that's just like an egregious error. I know. Like,
but
I don't. It doesn't make any sense to me.
no.
right? Because, and this is the worst, this is the most insidious trap of like just this idea that we've built complex systems that we're not allowed to understand, and we're not, like, sure, it's a practical need for technical expertise that you probably don't have internally. But the assumption that you're never going to be able to figure it out now, when you have AI that can just add that capability whenever you choose to add that capability, like this dependency mode where either I don't want to get fired if I screw it up, or it's way too complex for me to think about, so I'm not going to think about it. I've got other things to do. Because what I'm struggling with right now is how to present this concept of like, what if you could just add that capability? Because you can,
Yeah.
right? You can right now. You could give your whole team like the capability to do this kind of work, right?
Yeah.
And like, if it's like, I'm over here trying to qualify like $25K to activate a leadership team so that they can all do what we're doing.
It's cheaper than 80,000.
Yeah.
Right.
And like,
Just hang it.
and guess, and like the promise here, if this goes the way I think it should, dependency on any external third party for technical building and like all that stuff, I say it's still probably a good idea for like just coaching and having an external party to come in and look at the business with you differently.
Okay. You're
Right?
setting me up so good. You are setting me up so good for something I wanted to share, but I didn't know if it was going to fit into this episode. Keep going, Chris. But I have something to say in a hot minute when you're done.
So imagine if this was the price to never have to worry about this, like ever again. Like, worth it. Like,
Yeah. So two
I
things.
mean,
One, the designer in me, pull that page back up. The designer in me wants you to go work with your assistant and ask why in God's name your G is getting cut off, because the G should not be getting cut off. I'm going to start twitching as a designer on this show. Go back to the other page, the managed service trap. Be like, hey, bro, in my headline, why is the G in managed being
yeah.
cut off? Can you
Okay.
please give me like 10 pixels of padding at the bottom so that it does? Anyway, okay, so let me go into the thing that I wanted to share with you. So like there's a couple things that come to my brain, Chris, when you're talking about this. One, in my life, I have been building something, right? Building a passion project, spiritual side of leadership.com. I'm very close to it. And that's dangerous because I get blinders on and I get to where I don't see things. And so here's what I could do. By the way, I have done this. I could go to my AI assistant and I could be like, hey, let's audit this page. And it does a great job and it finds things to change. But is it really as good as it could be? Maybe. But I like doing that because it's AI native. However, I brought in another human, a human set of eyes. And I said, hey, can you be a beta tester? Can you go through this? And I'll pay you. You can send me an invoice. I just want your eyes on this. So you can tell me if I'm full of crap. You can tell me like, okay, so person goes through the whole thing. By the way, talks about the transformational process in their own brain of actually just taking time to get paid to go through this thing. But says one thing, well, says multiple things. I have a whole document for the audit, but says one thing. He goes, as I was reading through this, I don't think you have to be so like buttoned up. And I go, what do you mean buttoned up? And he's like, I am, do not, you are. He's like, man, I think it would like flow better if it was like contractions and like, and I'm like, oh, so you think it should sound more human and it should just flow easier. He's like, yes. Okay, Chris, to what you were saying. I then went back to my assistant and I said, hey, we want to do this across the entire website. Can you imagine if I went to a developer and said, we want to change every word on the website to use contractions? I would have spent 300, 400, 600 hours at $100 to $200 an hour to just sound more human. But last night I was sitting there smiling, watching lines of code roll across the screen, showing me this is what it used to be. And now this is what it is. And I even went to bed and woke up this morning and hit off one final yes to it, then saying the contraction, is project has been complete. And no spend, no developer. Well, Cloud Code developer because he's actually Echo because baller, but you see what I'm saying? Like this world of just taking time to educate yourself and ask questions of, is it possible, and get a second set of human eyes to do that part, because then you can leverage the technical side that you never believed that you could do, can be life-changing.
Yeah.
$80,000. I can't get over $80,000.
No.
Right. And that's not like what I found. It's like, it's so hard to successfully focus on that part and like not make it a yes or no, we're going to clean up our data like situation. Right. But what I think we can start breaking down now is these hours. Like,
yeah.
Right. When I first started doing portals for people and I saw like the first portal like proposal I saw from an elite partner
Mm.
choosing not to do it in CMS, and you just see the diagram and it's like, here's HubSpot, and then we got to use QuickBooks, and we got to use AWS, and then we got to build out the custom portal over here. 600 hours, right?
Mm.
And I could show how it would, like, doing it in HubSpot, 60 hours
Yeah.
ish, right?
Yeah.
And when we can break it down like that, it starts to get like more tangible. And that was before AI was a thing. And like, what is the other team going to say when the business owner knows, when, like, you can't hide what's happening from these humans right now. And if
Mm.
I know that AI is supposed to, I may not have seen it be successful,
Mhm.
like personally, but if I know that AI is going to, should make this stuff go faster, right?
Mhm.
How does, like, if I ask, if they're willing to ask, like, what are you doing for 300 hours?
Well,
Just tell
that's
me
the
why it
thing.
takes that long.
That's the thing. Leaders at least have to, like, or anybody, because maybe it's not a leader. Maybe it's like somebody that got, hey, this is on your plate, handle it. Okay, I'll do the best I can, boss. But whoever it is, they got to get really good at asking questions, poking the bear, like figuring out why. And I'm sure maybe these humans do. Chris, I can't let go of one thing because you said hiding. Like, if that's your business strategy, is hiding and hoping that you can just close the deal because they're ignorant to ask the right questions.
I mean, that's the whole managed services
Oh
trap in a
man,
nutshell right there. It's like, we know something
shame
that you
on you.
don't. You're required to pay us money to,
Yep.
to do development, and that's it. Like, there's no gap. There should not be a gap,
Mm.
right? And what I would expect the answer to be is a bunch of COIA bullshit where we got
Mm.
to test and we got to make sure there's time for this, because this is the thing that usually happens in the world where there was not AI.
Yeah.
And all of that kind of like gray area, like, we're going to build this in just because this is how it's happened in the past.
You know, I wish we could say that a different way. Because somebody's going to hear that, what you said, Chris, of like, now that there's AI, now that there's open learning, now that you can figure out anything, now that you can augment yourself to be anyone you want, like, even if you took the like AI out of it, just because I think they'll slam against that and not realize what we're saying, because AI is technical. I need somebody from managed services to help me do AI. Like, no. Like, if you look at AI with the right mindset of, now I can find out anything in a moment's notice and ask questions that my human brain has around it, and pivot and transition, and don't even call it AI, just call it the ability to understand just use it for that, at least.
Yeah. I was saying the same thing yesterday, that like today's stories from people of, I can't figure this out, and we need somebody to come in and take a look at this, or we need visibility into this because this department doesn't have access from this other department. And it's like, yes, but if you all have access to the same data, then you do have those answers, because you're just not using assistant, as opposed to, like, breaking down silos is very important always, right? But breaking down silos for communication is definitely the key goal. Breaking down silos for sharing data shouldn't require communication. That's that to me says that you put a human in front of the intelligence layer, And that's almost like saying, like, that's all that person does because that's what their job consists of. Because if you got them out of the way, all of a sudden, somehow they feel less important, right? That's a reevaluation of that position and what that position is doing and how that position is handling things. But that's not to do with like being able to access stuff, like especially with HubSpot, right? Like they're everything is moving into this agentic world, right? Work with, be partnered with. And in that world, the information is not going to become the blockade anymore. That's going to be the easy part to figure out. The hardest part to figure out is going to be how to actually start those conversations with the other departments so that you can talk about the information, right?
Right. And like not knowing anything about the two parties here, I would have been okay with if those hours were flipped, right? Like 40 for the work and like 300 for the project management.
Yeah.
Right.
Because like if there's multiple departments, because that like you can see in the scope where it's like the project management change management part where it's like that's the stuff that could just like if you got multi departments and you're going from HubSpot the marketing tool to Salesforce the sales tool, right? Getting those parties to agree on anything, like hey, I'm happy to help do that, but we don't get to move forward until that's done, and that might take a bunch of hours,
Yeah.
right?
And
Just to get people talking to each other.
I don't mean to sound like a broken record here, but Nico, you said the hardest part isn't going to be the data. And listen, one thing I've learned over the last 12 to 15 years is that being human, as much as it shouldn't be, is a business differentiator. And one of the hardest things that you're going to have to do as an organization when data isn't your issue, when silos are no longer, is how you actually show up as a whole ass human.
I think that's
That's
a good
it.
way.
That's
I think
all.
that's
That's all I got to say.
right. Like, man, and if we can just help people use AI to enable that,
Yep.
like it's yeah, worth investing in for sure. So I guess we'll be back here tomorrow. You
Yeah.
fellas,
Yeah. Lord
Everybody have a-
willing, I'll be here.
everybody have a great day. We'll see you then.
Peace out.